Hello, everybody. I am back. It's been a while, huh? I'm sorry. Updates on progress tonight, talking about how I'm getting back to streaming, talking about how DvsM 2001, The Soldier, the fourth book in the DvsM series, is coming. But first, in the spirit of tradition, 3 things from my library. Okay. First, this just showed up the other day. It's an import. It is the 4K edition of the movie The Fall. If you're not familiar, this is by the director Tarsem. I think he certainly has a last name. I don't know what it is. He just goes by Tarsem. He was the director of The Cell and Immortals, the one with Henry Cavill and Mickey Rourke, that was kind of like a 300. If you took 300 and Clash of the Titans and sort of mixed those up, sort of like that. Very distinctive visual style. I think he did music videos before he was a director. He probably would be most famous for the REM Losing My Religion video, if I remember right. People can fact check me on that. Anyway, I think The Fall is I think it's his best work. I've liked all the movies of his I've seen. I think this is the most, it has the most merit beyond visuals. The visuals are amazing, like all of his work, but I think it actually is a story that can stand up to and in some ways surpass the beauty of the visuals. Very, very good. I thought it was very, very moving. One of my personal favorites. I feel like not a lot of people have seen it. I just as I was saying that, I realized that sounded a little hipstery. But I mean, really, like very often I'll bring it up, and it's just not often I meet someone who's seen The Fall. Great movie. Very excited to rewatch it now that it is on 4K. This is a special edition that comes with, there's a, let's see here, a book. I can show you like art book. And then there's, I think just like, I don't know if these are postcards or just little mini prints. I think they're mini prints. Anyway, very cool. Okay, setting this aside. Next, just for diversity, the NES endings, or NES or NES, Nintendo Entertainment System Endings Compendium Volume 2, 1990. This is exactly what you might imagine it is. It is collected endings of Nintendo games from 1990. This one I'm guessing is Dragon Warrior 2. Let me see if I'm correct. I barely was looking at it. It is indeed Dragon Warrior 2. See? My classic Nintendo game is righteous. Okay. Anyway, I love this sort of stuff. This is a nice, in the morning, waking up with my coffee, browse the NES ending book. Okay, and then finally, I think I probably showed this before, but this has been my daily routine ever since I started drawing the latest DvsM. The Daily Pressfield by Stephen Pressfield. It is it's collected daily bits of wisdom or thoughts or advice or whatever. It is broken down day by day. And it's a year's worth. And I thought, since it would take me about a year to draw DvsM 2001, made sense to start it the day I started drawing DvsM, and it would be my daily routine throughout the process. It actually, I don't remember if, I'd have to go back and look. DvsM is actually going to take me a little bit longer than a year to draw, so I will run out of daily inspiration and have a few weeks left where I'm just going to have to white knuckle it without Stephen Pressfield to sit on my shoulder. But it's been a nice little routine. Sometimes it's very interesting. Sometimes it's helpful. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes it doesn't apply at all to what I'm doing. Sometimes I think it's not only interesting but shareable, and the people I am in a chat with it's the Crestline Art Retreat chat. It's the Artcasters group and the Making Comics group, and Jim Lujan. It's all these different creatives in there. Sometimes I think there's something share worthy or discussion worthy, or just it struck me and I'll snap a picture of the page and send it off. I have not read today's yet. This morning I was doing other things and I didn't do my normal routine of getting up and reading it. So I thought I would read it right now. And we'll find out in real time together if this one's interesting. Okay. Let's see here. The hero's suffering, this is the title. The hero's suffering must be on theme. Okay. None of these are long, by the way. I'm not going to be reading for 30 minutes at you. I'm reading this page right here. Okay. The theme of Cool Hand Luke, a great movie, is authority and the individual's response to it. Specifically, I've got a little fly. Specifically, the authority of society imposed upon its members by force. There's a little gnat. This is not a great reading experience. What the fuck? Okay, is it gone? Okay, I'm going to restart. The theme of Cool Hand Luke is authority and the individual's response to it, specifically the authority of society imposed upon its members by force. Here's the prison captain, played by Strother Martin, explaining to his inmates how the system works. You run on, I'm not going to do the accent that they did in the movie. You run on time. Oh, you run one time, you got yourself one set of chains. You run twice, you got yourself two sets. You ain't going to need no third set because you're going to get your mind right. I didn't read that very well, but anyway. Every instance of suffering inflicted upon Luke, Paul Newman, by the captain and his brutal bosses arises directly from this theme, this issue that the film is built around and upon. As writers, we can't simply pile agonies willy-nilly upon our protagonists, though that will work too. Their ordeal must be focused. It must be on theme. Okay. Actually, that's a helpful one to me, at least for the story of DvsM 2001, The Soldier. Okay. Which is a good segue. So this is, as you could tell from the title and from the thumbnail, I am about halfway through the drawing of my fourth comic. I am working on currently page 29 of, I guess, 58. If that's halfway, I'm just going to assume that's what it was. What can I say about the drawing of it? It's going well in the sense that I'm more or less on schedule. I am a couple days behind, but I'm going to talk more about that. I'm more or less on schedule. My energy level is good. I am not losing my mind yet. I'm happy with how the pages are looking. I do think, I don't think. I know this is the most visually involved DvsM yet. In every sense. I think the kinds of things I'm drawing are complicated. There are more characters than ever. Where every DvsM prior, you're really talking about 2, maybe 3 main characters, you know, and that's about it. And very often just one character at a time, like you're focusing exclusively on this one person. That's not the case with this one. This is not spoiler stuff, but this one, the story is about a soldier, and soldiers usually aren't just on their own. This is a team, sort of like a Black Ops, SEAL Team 6 type. So there's 6 guys, and a lot of those pages, I'm drawing all 6 of them over and over and over again, like in each panel. So that's unusual. There's a lot more work involved with that. If you have soldiers, you have weapons. So you're drawing pistols and rifles and things, and that shit is difficult. Okay, so there's that. They're out in the woods. None of this, and I'm not going to do any spoilers. You know me. If you're not going to know too much about what happens in this until you have it in your hot little hands. But they're outdoors, and that's complicated drawing. You're doing trees and pine needles on the ground and mountains, and I mean, it's just way more involved than most of. Oh, and then finally, weirdo lighting throughout. I don't know, I guess I wasn't fully aware of what I was writing in my script, but once I got to drawing it, I was like, this is basically DvsM dramatic lighting. There's a lot of backlit people. There's people around campfires and dark forest, like moonlit nights. There's people with flashlights pointing in places. Like there's a lot of weird like silhouettes and shadows and playing around with bright light and dark darks and trying to exaggerate contrast to and carefully design panels to make that, to lean into this idea of like being blinded by catching a flashlight in your face, or not being able to see anything that's in front of you, or all the things in between. It's involved drawing. The pages are dense, and that is the main reason why I feel like I have been, unlike past books, really limping across the finish line every page. Now, it's funny, I do distinctly remember when I started this comic, the first month or two, I was ending up way ahead. Like sometimes I was finishing a page days before my deadline. That was probably me tempting fate to be talking about it in streams. It was just a symptom of the really complicated drawing. I wasn't at that part of the story yet. Now I'm in the rough road of the story where the drawing is just a bear. I am more or less on track. Now this time I'm a couple days, more than a couple, I'm a few days behind where I would like to be. I think I'm going to catch up on this page that I'm on, or at least get back to a reasonable spot where I'm only like a day or two behind, which I can live with. I did take some PTO today and tomorrow to help facilitate that. That's why I'm confident, not only is a page that's not too much of a pain in the ass, that I took time off because I was just getting sick of being behind. And I saw a window where it's like, I'm caught up at work. My cohort, who had been out for a couple months, was back. So now it's not like if I need to be there all the time. That's not the case anymore. I could take some time off, catch up on the comic a little bit. I do think, because of how involved the pages are, I don't know, maybe it'll be a pleasant surprise and I'll think it's all fine. I'm just allowing that there might be a lot more like post-production for this one, for lack of a better term, and what I mean by that is when I'm done drawing all the pages, for every DvsM before this one and probably the last two as well, I finish all the pages. I try to like set it aside for a week and just not look at it and not think about it and give myself a little bit of a break. And then I go back and from page 1 to page last, whatever it is, I look it over with a notepad and make all the little notes of tweaks and adjustments and changes and spit polishes I want to make. I expect that might be a longer list on this one than any of the previous DvsMs, just because of the complexity of the drawing, and because, like I said, the limping across the finish line. There have been a lot of weeks where I've just made the decision at 10 or 11 at night, I cannot work on this page for another day. I'm already a couple days behind. I just have to pencils down this shit and move on. So would I love 4 more hours to mess with this page? Sure, but I'm not giving it to myself. We're done, we're moving on. That's the stuff where at the end of this, I might look at those pages and say, okay, I don't want to spend 4 more hours on this page, but what is, if I had 30 more minutes on this page, what would I do? There might be some of that. So I don't know how long that process will be. I'm just allowing that, like, oh, I might have my hands full because of just, again, the complexity of the drawing. I guess that's all the frustrations out of the way. On the plus sides, I'm really liking how it's looking. I think it's going to be the best looking DvsM. I think it's the most complex story I've done so far. I think it's a I think more characters, more character dynamics, more opportunities to suggest how people are, all these different people are, and say things through that. I think it's a subtler story, and I think it's a in my opinion, of all the DvsMs I've done so far, I think it's the most challenging. And I don't mean that in the sense of it's difficult. I don't mean like it's Crime and Punishment where, like, oh, you better pull out your highlighter and really sit and think. It's not challenging in that way. I mean challenging in there are some provocative implications and assertions being made in the story. Characters' beliefs, characters' actions, perspectives, whether you agree with them or not, why you don't agree with them or why you do agree with them. I think it's maybe, yeah, rather than challenging, maybe provocative is the better word. I think this one might be the most provocative. I hope. I really worked hard to, you know, the soldier story, and I think I talked about this months ago. It's very well trodden, whether it's in movies or books or comics. But I felt very strongly narrowly trodden. There is a very well-trodden, well-traveled road that you can go down in a soldier's story. And almost everyone does. But it's this very narrow path through the forest. And I felt very strongly that, first of all, there's no reason to retread all that. Like, those stories have been told many times over. But I felt very strongly through my research and my knowledge of people who have been in the military and the books I was reading and preparing to write the script, that there are lots of other stories you could tell that are just as interesting, and if not more so, because they're not getting told very much, and that play perfectly with where I'm trying to go with DvsM. So I think I mean, I felt this with every DvsM, but especially with this one, I feel like, suffice it to say, I've got something here. And I'm excited. You know, more so than the previous one, and I love the previous one, I'm excited for people to read this one, just to see how it goes. I'm curious. like I said, I loved the last one, 79, about the scientist. It actually is very personal to me. I really love that one. I was always a little unsure about it in terms of how it will be received. Like that was one that I was like, I don't like, I believe in this one and I think it's an important part of the story, and I don't know what people are going to make of this one. So it was always like, look, this is the third part in the series and it's going out there. We'll see how it goes. It was the one that I felt like was and I think if you go back through my videos, you might see me saying this. I always thought the third one was the weirdest one. You know, the one that people might not know what to make of it. This is the one that I think, I'm not going to say like, oh, this is the one people will like the most. I never know that. And I'm not actually thinking that. I just think it'll be, again, the most complex one and the most interesting one, and the one that, if there was ever a DvsM comic book club sitting around talking about, like, once a week we're going to meet and discuss a different issue of DvsM. This is my nerdy idea of arriving. It's not to get the HBO series. It's not to get it published or anything like that. It's like, is there a book club talking about DvsM? Anyway, I think this is the one where I would love to hear those conversations for this one. Just because I think the ideas in it are interesting. I wouldn't have been writing about them if I didn't. What else? So I'm halfway right now. Page 29, therefore I have 29 more pages to go. Therefore I have 29 weeks more drawing to go. If I don't remember exactly where it is on the calendar, but I thought that puts me around mid or late November to be finishing. I thought that's how I had it, because the goal has always been the book on sale sometime near the end of the year, not 2026. The goal has always been you will be able to buy DvsM number 4, DvsM 2001, DvsM The Soldier in 2025, sometime around Christmas. That was my goal, and I still am on track to do that. It'll just be, again, like I'll be hustling. It'll be done, I think, you know, knock on wood. I'll be done drawing sometime in mid-November or whatever it was, and a couple weeks of going over it with a fine-tooth comb, maybe having one or two people look at it, see, did I miss any typos? Is there anything in here that, is this good to go? Is it good to be printed? Doing the cover, doing the introduction, doing the, all the stuff around it. You remember from the past DvsM, so there's a whole process to get one of these books put together. But still think you can comfortably hit end of December. So, which, I don't know, that may sound a long way away, but we're already, I can't believe it's May. It'll be here before you know it. I can't believe I'm halfway through a fat book. What else? Let me see here. Hold on just one second. Okay. Sorry, I had a thing on my screen. I'm managing fine. And like I said, my spirits are still good and I'm not crazy yet. But the complexity of the pages and the fact that I'm barely finishing or sometimes going slightly over my own deadlines. And that's really spending time with it. That's like, I don't sit, these pages, I've never done the tally, how many hours does it take to do a page? And I probably never will, because I don't see the value in that. But I can tell you there's not a lot of dilly-dallying on my end. There is day job, there are meals, There is a very modest social life, very modest, and it's drawing the book. I mean, the backlog of everything else in my life, movies, games, comic books, like everything is piling up. The only and it's fine. Like I said, I'm keeping it together. I feel good. Still making time for the gym. Still, like, you know, but it's this one's this one's grueling. I feel like more so than the past ones. And again, I think I just need to work harder in the amount of time I have to hit my page a week goal. I've been trying to figure out, is there any place to make more room? Is there any place to give myself a little more leeway? And other than like what I did this week, would take a couple days off. I don't know. I feel like I'm already wringing out every little bit of time I have to be drawing from everywhere, and still, you know, again, gym, workout, normal social life, you know. I think I'm not going to say too high a bar for myself, because I like how it looks and I want it to look this way. But I do think I'm too deep now to say, like, I'm going to back off some of the complexity of the drawing to give myself a little more wiggle room and a little more free time. Because I can't, because I have half the book that looks a certain way. So now it's like I'm committed to this. I don't know how this is. I don't know if it's coming off like, oh my God, like, but like I don't. To be clear, I don't feel like I've bitten off more than I can chew. It's just I just wrote a difficult thing to draw. That's all it is, and now I'm having to draw it. The next, it's funny. I've been thinking a lot about the next two books, aka the last two books in the series, which is not uncommon totally. I find that I'm always, when I'm working on a book, my head is always on the next one. I don't know why. I think there's something about, because drawing isn't storytelling in the same way that writing a script is. Drawing is sort of, there's an element of storytelling, like it's figuring out how to present the story. And there's a lot of choices that go into that, but it's not the same as coming up with totally new things, coming up with new characters and new situations, and actually, you know, writing. While I'm drawing this and listening to podcasts and listening to music, I find my head very often drifting to the next two books, not just because that's just the way it's always been, but because the next two, I mean, that's what's going to land this plane, this DvsM plane. Like, I do intend to wrap this all up into something. And while I've always had a sense of where I'm going, at least in a general way, very soon I need to start making very specific decisions about, okay, well, how am I going to do that? What's the story going to be? And I feel like the next book especially really needs to point me where I need to end up in the last book. Like, all the books are sort of steering slowly toward the end, but this one really lays out some basic things that are going to pay off at the end. The next one has to do that even more so, and then hopefully I can tie it all together in book 6. I don't know if this will be the case. I never know how long writing is going to take, and I've always felt with writing, it should take as long as it takes. Like, when I feel like the script is ready, it's done, and not before that. More and more I wonder, and maybe it's just from fatigue, I wonder if there would be some value in, after this next book, book 5, really allowing a lot of time to write the final book, to make sure that landing gets stuck, and to make sure what I really fantasize about is when I finish the 5th book and have it drawn and out, sitting down and really closely reading all 5 from the beginning, and really almost like a literary critic, taking that approach to my own work, thinking about like, I think I know what's being said. I think I know what I'm doing. But what you find, I think, when especially if you're writing, sometimes in 2020 hindsight, you go and look at your old work and you say, oh, actually, I'm talking about this. I can't even believe I didn't even realize I'm talking about this. Yeah, I'm talking about the thing I thought I was talking about. I'm saying the things I wanted to say, but there's this other thing underneath that it's so obvious now that that's what I'm saying, that I just was completely unconscious to me. And that's the thing that I would like to try to get a handle on. I know what DvsM is about on this level. What I think I need to take a look at before I sit down and write the last book is, what is it also about 1 layer or 2 layer or 5 layers beneath that? And I haven't had the time. I mean, ever since I started doing this, in 2018 or whatever it was, I mean, it's just been me on the hamster wheel. It's been writing, drawing, getting it printed, putting it out there, writing the next one, drawing the next one, getting it printed, put it out there, like just back to back ever since. There's really been no breaks. There's always been this, even if I wasn't actively working at that moment, it was always thinking about what's next. Am I drawing next? Am I thumbnailing next? Am I writing a script? What am I doing next? There has not been a time to stop and just kind of inventory and think about, like, what is this work I've created? That is something, like I said, I really think a lot about doing before committing to the details of the last book. Just because I think it'll be better for it if I do that. But anyway. So in terms of streams, as I think I said in the description, I want to get back to it. I think it's been a couple months since I was live streaming regularly. It has been purely because I've just been head down, like I've just been working. And as I mentioned, there are 2 people at my role at my day job, and it's me and this other guy. And the other guy was out for the past 2 months. He's back now, which meant the last 2 months, like, it was all on me. And what I think I was telling him, what I found out from this process was there's enough work at our place of business for 1.5 of us. So when we're both there, it's not too bad, and you can take your time with things and get them kind of perfect. And there's some days where there's not a lot going on, and there's other days where you're busy, but it's just about right. When one person is out, you start taking mouthfuls of water, and that's what I've been doing for the past 2 months. So the idea of it was all I could do just to keep up on the drawing, because I was working really full weeks and sometimes some kind of off the books overtime just to keep ahead of everything. And because I was so go day job, I was zapped when I got home, and it was all I could do just to draw some lines on a comic page. You know, the idea of like also turning on the camera and being coherent is like, that's not going to happen. So fortunately now I think I'll be getting back, and like it should go back to normal. The pages are still going to be a bear. I'm not even going to look ahead in I have my binder just off camera here that shows all my thumbnails, my thumbnail planned pages. There was a point where I was flipping through and saying like, okay, when's my next easy day? I just have a feeling the easy days are not anytime soon, so it's not going to do me any good to say like, oh, no worries, I got an easy page coming up, and you know, let me do this 12 weeks. I'm not doing that to myself. It'll come when it comes. Someday it'll be done, and I'm happy I'm doing it. That might have sounded phony, but I really do believe that. I have never, even when I'm frazzled, even when I'm tired, even when I'm exhausted, as I am lately, I have never been shaken in my belief that I think I expressed in my videos all the way back of DvsM 1975, the first book in the series, that yes, it's a lot of work, but at the end of the day, a year from now, you can either have this piece of art that you made that you can be proud of, or you can be caught up on all your Netflix shows. And to me, that's no contest. To me, I would rather have something that I could call an accomplishment and not be able to just talk intelligently about Black Mirror. Who gives a shit? Like, I would much rather have a body of work as a creative. Other people are doing other math, and I'm not judging people for coming up with a different answer, but that's me. So yes, it's exhausting. Yes, it's stressful. Yes, I don't have a lot of time to do many things, but I'm totally cool with it, and I wouldn't have it any other way. And the fact of the matter is, when the book is done being drawn, then it's back into like printing and then writer mode, where I'm coming up with the script for the next one and thumbnailing the next one. And that actually, by comparison, is pretty relaxed. Like it's work. It's a different kind of work, though. It's not this kind of grueling, like butt in chair for hours getting the thing drawn. Writing is nothing like that. It can be long, it can be frustrating, it can be difficult, and all these different things, but it's not sweatshop labor like drawing is. It's a totally different kind of work. It's more like academic work. It's mentally exhausting, where there is something, in a way, it's not physically exhausting. Drawing isn't physically exhausting like laying bricks or anything like that, but it's kind of grueling. Like you're just planted, concentrating, looking at things, evaluating. And the other thing I found recently, especially with the complexity of the pages and being frustrated with how I'm often a day or two behind my self-imposed deadlines. And I'm curious if other visual artists have noticed or experienced the same thing. Rushing, trying to rush. I don't know about you guys. I'm addressing the artists out there, the visual artists. Drawing faster isn't a thing. And in fact, it is such a disaster. Like I find, and this is counterintuitive, and I just noticed this in these past few weeks. I go fastest when I'm relaxed and loose and having fun with it. Like really just deciding, there's a mentality difference. I tested myself these past couple of weeks. There's a character in this book that is like very unshaven. He's really got a lot of, whiskers on his face. And sometimes he's in, 5, 6 panels on this page. And I have to admit, I don't love sitting with the fiddly detail, zooming it to like 3,000% and drawing all these little whiskers. It's just a drag. It's tedious. And it's actually not as, you can't go as fast as you think. You would think like, oh, what's the big deal? Just like little hash marks. That's not going to look right. You actually need to be a little precise about it and a little tidy about it to make it look right and make it not look like you just did it real fast and messy. I tried it two ways. So this is always the last thing I want to do on a page because it's just so boring and tedious. And I guess that's the same thing. Fiddly and tedious. It's just, it's not fun drawing for me. So as a test to myself, there were days where I was like, I'm just going to try and bust this out as fast as I can. And it was always garbage every single time. There is no way to do it faster and be happy with the result. I always ended up just like erasing it and having to do it over. On the other hand, when I could get my head right and say like, you know what I'm going to do? I'd be getting something to eat or having some coffee. And it's like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go in there. I'm going to put on some music and I'm just going to kind of enjoy mindlessly drawing whiskers. And then it goes like that and it looks great. I can't understand it. I can't explain that, but I've found that that's the case. And that's, I think, the case with all drawing. Counterintuitively, for me at least, drawing with a deadline, with the thought of like, I got to get this shit done in 45 minutes or 2 hours or whatever, it's a disaster. It's so bad. It looks so bad and it's a miserable experience. If on the other hand, I sit down and say, I'm just going to have fun with it and it'll be done when it's done. It's like easy, turns out nice. This is just one of the mysterious qualities of the art process. I can't, but I'm really starting to appreciate it with this book in particular because I'm constantly facing this feeling of I'm overwhelmed by the scope of the work with the not tremendous amount of time I have. I do have a day job. I do have to sleep. Like I have to go grocery shop. I have to drive to and from work. There's things I have to do. I don't have all the time in the world to draw this book. It's not like, so I've talked about it like it's a second job. It's not a second job. I'm not spending 40 additional hours. Like I'm not spending 80 hours a week doing things, 40 hours my day job, 40 hours on the comic. I don't have that. Like I said, I'm not going to calculate the time. I could ballpark it. It's probably in the vicinity of 20 hours a week, something like that. And that might sound like a lot, but like to do a finished comic page from nothing, from bare white page to done, I in theory could print this in 20 hours. But the way I draw, the way DvsM looks, like that's pushing, at least for me. Like I have to be on. I have to really be getting shit done. I need to sit down and I need to have an idea when I sit down every time, like what's the goal tonight? What's the goal for these next couple hours? What am I definitely going to try and get done? Like I need to be constantly getting little wins all week long to get that page done in about my, weekly limit. That all said, with the time I allow myself to work on this book, I think it is looking good. And I've always prided myself on, and I feel every creative I know that I associate with, they have the same attitude, and it's probably why we are fellow travelers. I've never suffered what I would describe as an amateurish attitude of, I'm going to keep my powder dry until someone gives me a big opportunity and pays me. Like, no. I think I work as hard on this, if not harder, than I would for Dark Horse or Boom or Skybound or Marvel or DC. You know, like I think it's something that it's a controversial take. I think some people think it's a hot take. I know some people don't love when I say it, but I do think a lot of indies hold themselves back. They let themselves off the hook. They give themselves permission not to kill themselves. And I don't mean that literally. I don't mean like ruin your life making your art, but I guess they give themselves permission to let off the gas, to not floor it, because they're just an indie. And I've never, like, that's not a, I've always felt like you need to do your best work every opportunity you have, even if it's just for yourself, even if it's your own personal indie project. I've never seen, heard of, or thought of an acceptable reason, if you're an artist, if you're creative, to do work that you think is just okay. I just, that's inconceivable. I can't even make words for that. Why? I think you need to take big swings. I don't know. And I do with DvsM. This is a big stream of consciousness video. I don't know where this is. Anyway, that's my update for DvsM. In terms of the streaming, I do intend to get back to it. I'm not going to do weekly, but I'm going to try to do every other week. I think Thursday nights is the night. I like this. Especially since Artcasters is now Tuesday. So Thursday is kind of open field. So look for another video 2 weeks from tonight. There are books on sale in the Etsy shop. Let's see here. You might recognize these from ASCAP. It's the Black Dossier, the classified material bundle. You get all 3 books plus some stickers, including a sticker that has a tease of the upcoming DvsM 2001, The Soldier. These are available in my Etsy shop, reasonably priced. I don't remember what they are, but it's a good deal. In fact, I got to go to the post office tomorrow because I got to mail some of these out. I don't know how many of these I have left. An okay number. It's not a huge number, but an okay number. So if you're interested, it's not urgent that you buy it right now, but it will be probably in the next few weeks or months. Like they steadily, I'm going to the post office every, once or twice a week, dropping another pack in the mail. So I might last a little in the summer, but then it might start getting a little rare. So if you want to get the collected set, you might want to move on that. What else? I think that's all I got tonight. I'm sorry I've been absent. Oh, another thing, I'm just going to plant this seed. We're not going to work out the details right now, but it's becoming more and more apparent to me that someday I need to do a mailing list and or set up, get more active with my Substack, or both. Partly to be able to keep all the fans in the loop and like people who are interested in the loop, but mostly there's a long-term goal of eventually doing a Kickstarter. Now that's a ways off, but I don't want to be trying to figure out a mailing list 6 months before I want to do a Kickstarter. So I figured that's something I should figure out sometime this year. It might be something I have more time. I'm overwhelmed with the idea of figuring that out right now, but I will have the bandwidth to do that once this book gets done toward the end of the year. So that's probably a good time to do it. What I'm thinking, I hope I remember this, I'm thinking of doing some sort of thing where if you are on the mailing list, there'll be some sort of coupon code for the next book to kind of incentivize people signing up for the mailing list. Yeah, okay, some people will sign up and immediately cancel just so they can get their $5 or $10 off. Whatever, that's fine. It's at least a start, and then I can go from there. So that's something that toward the end of the year, I'll probably be doing something like that. I think that's all DvsM wise. In terms of life, I mentioned I have the video game backlog, which is breaking my heart because that new remastered Oblivion came out, which is really tempting to me. There's a remastered Suikoden, which was very tempting to me as well as a retro gamer. There's a remastered Lunar. Like, there's all these games. It's like the universe. Oh, a Switch 2 is coming. This is crazy. It's ridiculous. The universe is trying to tempt me. You know, when you're on your path, when you're really doing something that's important, the shadows behind every tree and rock whisper to you, like, oh, come over here. Oh, come look at this. Oh, you know, all the siren songs, all the little, it's terrible. It's terrible. I already have this pile of movies that I want to watch. I don't know when I will. I do want to try to make time to watch Sinners in the theater. I think sometime this weekend. Because I've heard such great things, and it feels like it'll be right up my alley. I'm very excited to see that. So I'm going to probably try and catch that this weekend. I'm kind of curious about Thunderbolts, but I don't know if I'm interested enough to make it happen in the theater. I do have Disney Plus. It'll show up there eventually. Maybe that's good enough. I heard it wasn't very good, but I'm waiting for the latest Captain America to get on Disney Plus because I'm just curious about it. I don't have high hopes, but I'm curious. Seems like it should be there by now. Where the hell is Captain America? But speaking of Disney Plus, I am, as of today, fully caught up on Andor. Andor is the one exception of my, like, I don't have time to watch anything, don't have time to do anything, don't have time to play anything or read anything. Andor is good enough where it's like, no, I will make a few hours room to watch that. The season 2 has just started. There are 6 episodes up. They're dropping them in 3-episode blocks. There was talk that 3-episode blocks are basically like, each one is sort of like a movie. They don't play like it doesn't play like a movie, in my opinion. It plays. It's tough. It's not structured like a movie, but it's definitely structured like a period. Like, I do feel like each 3-episode drop that I've seen so far, there's only been 2. It's real easy to watch them just end to end, like just watch all 3 in a sitting. It doesn't feel like a movie though, because it doesn't have a very, while there are little arcs in it and little building, you know, action and climaxes and like, I mean, it roughly, it does feel more like a part of a whole story. I have a feeling the entire second season will feel kind of like a movie. Anyway, it's great. I mean, I've talked a lot on this channel about how much I loved the first season of Andor. It's still by far my favorite Star Wars TV property. I mean, nothing's even close. Mandalorian season 1 and 2 would be second, but there's a big gulf between those. I thought Mandalorian season 1 and 2 were good. Like, I enjoyed them. I didn't love them like I did Andor. Andor season 2 is more Andor. It is and it isn't. It's as good, like the quality is more Andor. The writing is fantastic. The set designs, the way it's shot, the performances, like it's just one of the best looking Star Wars things. Whether you like the show or not, I think it's better looking than most of the movies. Okay. Which isn't a special, and I'm not going to sit and criticize a lot of the other Star Wars stuff right now. I'm going to try to be good. I'm trying to be better. But especially compared to shit like Kenobi, which looks like a Star Trek The Next Generation episode from the 90s. Like, it's crazy how good Andor looks. Andor looks better than most the Star Wars films, okay? The way it's not like just more Andor from season 1 is you're very clearly, it's at a totally different stage of how a rebellion happens, how a revolution or an insurrection happens. And so it's, to me, season 1 is very much the earliest sprouts of something that eventually will turn into an organized rebellion. It is more, the first season was more insurrection-y and civil disobedience and lone actors acting out in ways to try and thwart the power structure. It felt very, very disorganized and small and ground level. And it was a huge pain in the ass for the Empire, but not a threat. Season 2, staying away from spoilers, it's ramping up where slightly more organized, not very. And it's funny, the first few episodes, you see lots of examples of would-be rebels that actually cannot get their heads out of their asses to save their lives, and you have to assume are never going to make it to the end game. But you're seeing others that are really getting their shit wired tight and really trying to like dial in, like, what's the smart play here? What's the way to go? And how, and who can we trust? And what's the next move? And I mean, you're starting to see like some escalation happening. I still just am baffled this show even is being made. It's so good and so interesting and so complicated and so, in a lot of ways, not what I think a lot of people would want. That's, I think, maybe the biggest reason I'm just shocked it exists. I almost said a movie. It's a show that I still, every episode, it's like, I can't even believe they greenlit this. Not because it's so controversial, it's not. Not because it's so weird or difficult or whatever. And there's nothing bad about it that makes me go like, how did they approve this? It's just that it's one of those things a little bit like The Last Jedi, where I watch it and I feel like this is made for me. And I know I don't have like broad, easy tastes that everybody would like. If I like it, anyone would like it. That's usually not the case. Usually if I like it, it means like your mileage may vary. That's why when I watch Andor, and it's like I have actually the same reaction to Andor that I had to The Last Jedi, which is, I don't know, I'm sure a lot of people probably hate this shit. I love it. This is right up my alley. And even if they never make anything like this ever again, I'm happy because at least I got my thing. That's how I came out of The Last Jedi. I was like, I got a Star Wars movie that I love. You guys can do whatever you want with the series now because this is great. Same with Andor. I'm watching it and it's like, this is exactly what I want to see for this story, for this era in the Star Wars history. I'm loving it. It's just stupid good. It's better than it needs to be. better than it even deserves to be given the state of the property. Like this, it stands out so hard, and it's not just because it's grown up. It's not because it's mature, whatever that means. It's a quality level thing. The other Star Wars things, with possible exception of Mandalorian 1 and 2, like them or not, forgive them because, oh, they're for kids or whatever. They're just not very well done. Like, you can say, like, well, they're for kids. Kids are stupid. Like, okay, weird defense, but it's, no one can, with a straight face, say Ahsoka or The Acolyte or Kenobi are well done. You may say they're good, you may enjoy them, you may say it's for a certain kind of audience, and you're not in it or I'm not in it or whatever, but there's an audience that, fine, I'll grant you that. They're just not that well done. The writing is clunky, the casting is weird, the shooting is bad, the effects are not good. So they're just not well done, even if it's meant for 6-year-olds. Just not well done. That's what I'm talking about, where it's like Andor is just on a different level. Even if you don't like it, even if you're not into it, it is done by real artists who know what the hell they're doing, and that's what's just so striking about it to me. That's all I'm going to talk about Andor tonight, which is a lot, but I really like Andor. I hope so. There's 6 episodes left, 3 a week. I'm excited. I'm really enjoying it. We'll see how it goes. Anything else? I think that's all I got. I think that's playing. It's been about an hour. Don't want these to be super long. Like I said, next stream 2 weeks from tonight. I don't know what it'll be about. I'll figure it out in the meantime. Maybe someone will come on, maybe not, whatever. At that point, I should be on page 31, 32, something like that, depending. There may be, I don't know, maybe some reviews of DvsM coming up. If so, like, I'll share all that, good or bad, whatever they are. But I'm trying to get more. I'm bad at promotion. I'm bad at, my favorite part of this is the making. And maybe the second favorite part is just talking to, all of you. Way down on the list is like doing the normal kind of marketing things that a person maybe would normally do. But I'm trying to be better. And one of the ways I'm trying to be better is figure out, like, who reviews indie comics out there. I'm just going to comp them some books. I'm not going to, they can review them or not. They can be nice about them or not. I don't care. But maybe that's like a very basic way I can kind of build visibility. So we'll see. There's a few books that have gone out recently that there could conceivably be reviews coming. Again, if there are, I'll share them here, or I'll let you know, give you a heads up. I think that's it. So I am going to, it's a little late. It's 9:04 here, but I need to get some food. And then tomorrow, on my day off, big day of drawing, trying to catch up. If I can finish this page by the end of the weekend, which I think is doable, I won't be in that bad a place. I will only be about a day behind, and I can live with that, which is far fewer than the number of days behind I am right now. So I'm going to try and push for that. We'll see where I am next week. We'll see where it goes. In any case, it's all going to get done, and it's all going to get done sometime in November. barring any kind of weird act of God. All right, everybody. I hope you're taking care of yourselves and each other and surviving the news cycle and not getting sucked into weird internet arguments with strangers. And if you're creative, I hope you're sticking to it, because it's the best thing you can do for yourself. And the role of artists is an important one. And I have a feeling it's going to be even more important in the days, weeks, months, and years to come. So anyway, talk to you in 2 weeks.